Hi, welcome to corrective exercise number 17. I'm Anthony Carey with Function First in San Diego, California. And I have with me Wendy Cole. Wendy is the newest member of our team here at Function First, and she's going to help me demonstrate corrective exercise number 17, which is sitting heel raises with the strap. This is one of the exercises from the pain-free program. And what we're going to do is, in a sitting position, I'm going to have Wendy scoot to the edge of the seat so she's not using the backrest. And what we ask the client to do in this particular position, first of all, is to sit with the feet, knees, and hips all pointing straight ahead, and her feet and knees are hip width apart. Now, equally important, we're going to ask Wendy to rotate her pelvis anteriorly, so she's using her ischial tuberosities as rockers to sit forward and create a nutation of the sacrum. That in and of itself is a very effective position to improve stability of the lumbopelvic region. It's mostly occurring from the erectors from above, helping to pull the pelvis into the anterior position with a little bit of contribution from the hip flexors. But that nutation of the sacrum as it moves forward does a great job of helping build stability through the tension in that general area of the body. Because the torso is not moving along with the pelvis, in other words, she's not leaning forward, that's where we get that increase in lordosis. Now, for some people that are hyperlordotic here, we want to be able to control that. We don't want to have too much lordosis there, but we do want to make sure that they're getting that tip forward. Her arms are going to be relaxed at the side and basically out of the way. And what we're going to use here is a non-elastic strap. Purposely, this is non-elastic, meaning that it's not going to give. And I'm going to strap this around Wendy's thighs, just above the knees. And we're still going to maintain that hip width distance, feet pointing straight ahead. And what we're going to ask Wendy to do is keep a slight but constant pressure out on the strap. So we keep that taut just a little bit more than that pressure. Now, sitting in this position, as she has been for us, and with that forward rotated pelvis, now she's going to be firing the lateral hip stabilizers, the glute medius and glute minimus, a little bit of tension through the IT band on the way down. And what that does, again, is that further facilitates some of these pelvic stabilizers, and we're looking for her to be real anchored and fixed on the chair. Now, this next portion of the exercise is basically we're going to ask her to raise her heels off the floor, keeping the balls of the feet on the floor. Now, if you look at this at first glance, it seems like something you can do all day, and if you try it with yourself by just pushing your toes into the ground, the heels will rise. The key to this exercise, though, is that the lift is being initiated with the hip flexors. So sometimes what we'll ask the client to do is actually put their thumbs where their thigh meets their pelvis, where the hip flexor is. They can basically get that proprioceptive feedback from their hands. And we're thinking puppet strings, lifting the thighs up, which happens to draw the heels up. So Wendy's going to lift the heels, but she's actually lifting from the hip flexors with a little bit of activity of the calf. And at the end of the motion, especially at the top, there'll be a lot more calf involvement at that point. So yes, we want the hip flexors to be facilitated and activated in this particular exercise. We have the pelvis being tipped anteriorly and the sacrum nutated from the rear. Now we're adding the hip flexor stability. This is getting bilateral engagement of all these muscles around the hip to help with that position. There's a lot to be said for being able to maintain and stabilize and strengthen in this position, since so much of what we do in sitting is just a matter of counterbalancing our center of gravity so that the pelvis actually rotates posteriorly on the ischial tuberosities, shoulders and head go forward, and then it's a zig and a zag balance here. We're also adding strength through this area of the body as well. So there are clients and patients out there that do not have enough strength in lordosis in the anterior tilt. We know we hear so much of tight hip flexors, but we've also got clients that need just the opposite. And we would have Wendy doing this actively, so she's going to hold the pressure here, but the heels are going to go up and down repeatedly. And one of the other benefits to this exercise is as she raises up onto her heel, or raises her heels off the floor, the rear foot supinates or inverts. The rear foot will invert and the forefoot is supinating, so we're getting a good locking out of the mid-tarsal joint. And for those clients that walk and as their heel is raising off the floor during gait, that the rear foot does not invert and the forefoot does not lock, this is a great exercise for help strengthen and stabilize through there. At the whole time she's firing these lateral hip stabilizers. We also do this exercise on the floor as a regression if necessary, where she could be supine, and we would still be getting the effects on how it works with the rotation of the lower leg and the relationship of the true ankle joint and the subtalar joint, but this becomes much more demanding at this point where we have Wendy sitting up and having to stabilize with the torso over the pelvis. We welcome your comments and feedback, and thanks for watching corrective exercise number 17 with functionfirst.com.